Hey, if you like some of my NBA discussions here, make sure to subscribe to my other channel, which is original NBA content, which I post every week about different NBA topics. And yeah, it's a new channel, so make sure to support it. And yeah, hope you enjoy. Hi, my name is Lyric, and today we're going to react to another video by Jonny Arnett, which is titled "Every Dynasty's Most Underrated Player." So, this is a bit of an interesting video, because everyone knows the main players on NBA dynasties. You know, your Bill Russells, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kareem, Jordan, Duncan, Curry. But to make a whole dynasty, you need a lot more than just a few great players. You need some all-time great role players that just go unnoticed. The guys that come to mind for me are like Michael Cooper on the Showtime Lakers. Their best defensive player that just never gets talked about, won DPOY. I would say like Horace Grant and Ron Harper on both the Bulls dynasties. Ron Harper, if Ron Harper's your fourth best defensive player, you're doing damn good. Uh, I'd probably say the Lakers, probably like Derek Fisher, Robert Horry, and I'm thinking like Warriors. I don't know, Andre Iguodala or something like that. I don't know. I mean, he won Finals MVP, so maybe not. But I don't know. Let's get into it. Okay, every dynasty's most underrated player. Go subscribe to my original NBA channel. It's the first link in the description if you want more NBA content. Obviously, go subscribe to Jonny Arnett first. He's the second link in the description. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Since the initial creation of the National Basketball Association, there have been several different dynasties who have shaped the history and landscape of the sport.
Absolutely.
Of course, within those dynasties have been iconic superstar figures who get the vast majority of the attention. But with that being said, usually those players were such gigantic figures that they cast a massive shadow over the key contributors of their success. Today, we're looking at an unsung hero from each dynasty in chronological order.
Alright, here we go.
To
I'm going to every dynasty here.
These all-time great teams with a broader perspective. Before I get started, let me first explain the definition of a dynasty for this video.
Okay.
In this case, a dynasty is a team that won at least 3 championships in the span of a decade with the same core group of players. So without further ado,
that's pretty dynasty-like to me.
First off, Vern Mikkelsen of the 1950s Lakers. The superstar of that Lakers team.
Don't know much about the 50s Lakers, but I know he's like...
And honestly, I could even argue that he's underappreciated based on how much he dominated and based on how rarely
no one talks about him, despite the fact he was the first NBA superstar.
Most of you have heard based on how rarely his era is discussed. Regardless, most of you have heard of George Mikan, but I guarantee that only a few of you have ever heard of his sidekick, Vern Mikkelsen.
I've heard of him.
Mikkelsen was
I don't know much about him though.
Power forward who had a lethal hook shot years before Kareem ever set foot in the NBA. He was one of those guys with that old school mindset that whenever possible, you show up to work. And as a result, in his 10-year career, he missed a grand total of just 5 regular season games.
Love to see that. Love to see that.
If best ability is availability, then Mikkelsen was truly one of the very best. He was usually the team's second best scorer and rebounder behind Mikan. He won 5 NBA championships and was a 6-time All-Star. At his peak in 1955, he was averaging over 18 points and 10 rebounds on 42% shooting,
19
which
and
was
10,
actually
42%.
elite efficiency during the NBA's infancy. In a league that had many successful Robins, Mikkelsen was probably the first Robin in the history of NBA dynasties.
Nice.
Sam Jones of the 1960s Celtics. Bill Russell was the legendary leader of
he was I think their leading scorer for multiple seasons, and I know he was an extremely clutch player from what I've heard.
Team in basketball history, which was the Celtics of the 60s. The thing is, Russell had the luxury of being able to focus almost exclusively on his defense and rebounding, while others carried the load of the team's offense. No one shouldered more of that offensive burden than his 6'4" shooting guard, Sam Jones.
He's only 6'4"?
Sam had a game that was incredibly ahead of its time. as he had a good handle of the basketball and a smooth pull-up jumper.
Ooh.
Not only was he often the leading scorer in the regular season, but he usually took his offensive game to another level in the playoffs.
Nice.
For example, in 1965, he averaged close to 30 points per game
Wow.
over the entirety of the postseason.
That's actually
He
insane.
had 4
Holy
playoff
shit.
games in his career where he dropped at least 40 points, including an efficient 51-point performance in
Ooh.
1967.
I didn't know he was this
against
good.
the
Damn,
New
yeah,
York
I've been
Knicks,
underrating this guy.
which
Goddamn.
was a series-clinching victory.
51?
Over his career, he was a
29 a game in the
five-time
playoffs?
All-Star
Holy shit.
and won
Holy
a
shit.
ridiculous 10 championship rings in his 12 seasons in the
10
NBA.
rings. Yeah, and it's the
Make
second
no
most all time. I know
mistake,
that.
Bill Russell was the greatest player on that dynastic squad. But let's be honest, he often gets all of the credit when a significant portion of that belongs to his sharpshooting teammate. Michael Cooper of the 1980s
100%, that's what I
Lakers.
said.
Players
DPOY.
like Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and James Worthy are the most famous faces of the Showtime Lakers. But
Right.
they don't win 5 championships
I don't get
in
James
that
Worthy to
decade
underrated.
without their best defensive
But,
player, the
yeah.
6'7" shooting guard, Michael Cooper. Cooper was one of the first 3-and-D
Very
type of
underrated.
players, and he's one of the very best in both of
Look at
those
that. Oh my
aspects.
god.
For a while, he was the NBA record holder for the most three-pointers made in a finals game. You'd be
Wow.
wrong if you assumed that he was just a shooter, though, as he was freakishly athletic and was often the recipient of Magic Johnson's alley-oop passes.
Look at these dunks. He was really skinny.
He made a
Goddamn.
total of 8 all-defense teams, which is the second most
Nuts.
in franchise history, behind only Kobe
Kobe?
Bryant. And
Yeah.
in 1987, he was named the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year, even though he was coming off the bench. Maybe
That's
the greatest
insane.
piece of
DPOY
evidence
off the
of
bench
his
is actually
all-time
so
great
insane.
defense is the
Insane.
fact that Larry Bird once referred to Cooper as the greatest defensive player that he's ever faced. He was
Nuts.
a part of all 5 championship teams, and although he was never considered
Wow, I didn't know he was part of all
as a
5.
superstar, I certainly consider him as one of the greatest 6 men of all time.
He should make the Hall of
Dennis
Fame, honestly.
Johnson of the 1980s
DPOY,
Celtics.
5-time champion.
When it comes to these great Celtics teams, players like
Dennis
Larry
Johnson, yeah.
Bird, Kevin McHale,
Oh yeah, 100% Dennis Johnson, because he won a Finals MVP on his own with the Sonics. Then he went to the Celtics. He was arguably their best defensive player, and like super good at super great, point guard, passing,
and Robert Parrish
playmaking.
seem to draw all of the
Bird.
attention. And even guys like Bill Walton and Danny Ainge get some of the shine as well. But the fantastic player that I almost never see mentioned in the documentaries or in the TV specials was the Celtics starting point guard / shooting guard. Unlike Michael Cooper, DJ was not a great three-point shooter, but he was a massive help to the Celtics on both ends of the court.
Yeah,
Prior
especially
to his
defense.
days in Boston, DJ spent time as a leading star player and was even the Finals MVP for the Seattle Supersonics in 1979. When he became a Celtic, less was required of him, but he still remained as a key scorer and distributor, as he averaged nearly 15 points and nearly 6 assists in his first 3 seasons in
Should have made the
Boston.
NBA 75,
The best
arguably.
part of his game, though, was his elite on-ball defense, as he was regularly assigned to the best scoring wings in the entire league, like Michael Jordan, for example. On the defensive end, there are very few who are more proven, as DJ made and earned a total of 9 all-defense team selections,
Goddamn.
which is tied for the
Yeah,
second
defenders
most
are always
selections
underrated,
for a guard
'cause less
in
stats for
NBA
defense.
history.
That's why I pop in
Overall,
stats.
he was a 3-time NBA champion and
Defenders
a
just
5-time
overall
All-Star.
More underrated if they're
Ron
better
Harper
defense
of the
over time.
1990s Bulls.
Yep, what I said.
He was only there for the second three-peat, but his impact for that team should not be downplayed.
He was an all-star with the
Many
Cavs
people
before.
lose track of just how stacked
Then he
those
went on to
late
play with the
90s
Lakers to win a
Bulls
championship.
were.
2
Jordan,
championships, I think.
Pippen, and Rodman created all of the headlines, and even Tony Kukoc earned the respect of the basketball world. But what's
Right.
rarely mentioned is just how impactful Harper was, and how
Yeah.
he was a legitimate star in his own right before joining
Once again,
Chicago.
defenders always
In
underrated.
his first 8 years in the league, Harper was averaging around 20 points,
Damn.
5 rebounds,
19,
5
5, and
assists,
5,
and 2
2 steals.
steals, while being
That's
a pretty
nuts.
solid defensive player. Once in Chicago, he remained a full-time starter.
Less on
but didn't
scoring,
have
more
to
on
score
defense.
as much with teammates like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, as
Right.
his scoring dropped to roughly 8 points per game. On the other hand, Harper usually doesn't get enough credit for his contribution to their all-time great perimeter defense. He
Yeah.
was fantastic at frustrating opposing guards
All their perimeter
and
defenders,
forcing
some of the
them
great
into
defenders.
making bad decisions. He was usually among the league leaders in steals per game. And when
Yeah.
you mix that ability with Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman, well then it's no wonder why they were such a nightmare on defense.
Makes
Derek
sense.
Fisher of the 2000s Lakers. Every single
Yeah.
one of Kobe's 5 championship teams had Derek Fisher as a teammate.
Damn right.
Oftentimes,
He had a weird
Robert
jump
Horry
shot.
is recognized as the clutch shooting role player during their championship runs.
Wish
But
he
I
was
would
too,
argue
but
that
Derek Fisher as well.
was just as valuable, if not more so.
That's an
This
iconic shot with
6'1"
the Magic
point
right
guard
there.
was arguably the best spot-up three-point shooter on the entire team, which was even more valuable for this specific group, considering how Shaq was often looking to kick the ball out to his shooters after the defense collapsed. In those situations, none were more dependable
Shaq
than
would be,
Fisher, especially in the 2001
having shooters around Shaq is
where the
super
Lakers
good.
famously
Super
steamrolled their
needed.
way to the
So, yeah, this
championship
one makes sense.
with a 15-1 record.
I mean, arguably, they're the third best player
Kobe
on the
and
championship
Shaq
teams.
dominated, but over those playoffs, Fisher was the team's third leading scorer, averaging 13.4 points. And
Nice.
not only did he lead the team in three-point attempts, but he hit a ridiculous 51.5% of his three-point
That's fucking
shots.
nuts.
In the years
52% from
afterwards,
three.
Fisher continued
Oh, this
to
is
prove
all-time
that he
great
was one
game
of the
winner.
most clutch
0.4.
role-playing shooters in the league,
Goddamn.
hitting numerous iconic shots in the postseason. Bruce Bowen of the 2000 Spurs.
Oh, 100%, 100%. He was on the same. He was one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. And Tim Duncan gets all the credit for their defense, which makes sense because Tim Duncan, all-time great defender. But I mean, perimeter defense, Bruce Bowen, fucking
incredibly
amazing,
valuable
and good three-point shooter.
Who was
he makes no sense though because he somehow is a better. He shot damn near better percentage from the damn three-point line than he did from the damn free throw line.
Spurs starting small forward in 7 out of his 8 seasons in San Antonio. Bowen absolutely loved the corner three, and under the coaching of Greg Popovich, he had plenty of opportunities. He was usually shooting around 40% from three-point range, but at his peak in 2003, he shot a league best 44.1% over the course of the season.
On the championship that year too.
Even more valuable than his three-point shooting was his perimeter defense.
Yeah.
Even though Tim Duncan is known as one of the greatest defensive players of all time, you could make the argument that he wasn't the best defender on his own team during his
actually
prime,
nuts.
As
That's actually
Bowen
nuts.
finished as the runner-up for the Defensive Player of the Year in 3 straight seasons.
That's crazy.
2005 to
Runner-up 3 straight
2007.
times? What kind of Joel
In
Embiid shit is
total,
this?
He made 8 All-Defense teams, and I kind of think he isn't recognized for it because he
Because
often
Tim
received
Duncan?
the title of a dirty player from the basketball community.
Okay.
And I don't think anyone believes that more
kicked someone in
than
the
Vince
face.
Carter, who was about ready to destroy Bowen after the 3rd time he stepped under his foot and rolled Carter's ankle. Regardless
shit.
on your opinions of Bowen's character, the reality is
Didn't he kick someone
was
in the
a
face
pivotal
before?
aspect in 3 of their title runs in San Antonio. Andre Iguodala
Nice.
of the 2010s
Hey,
Warriors.
I got a lot of them right
Back
when
in
I
the
predicted
early years
who I
before
said
Golden
he would say.
State, Iggy was seen as a
Finals
star who
MVP.
could play above the rim and was averaging as high as 20 points per game in 2008. During his time in Golden State,
Yeah, 20
he was
points
in
a
his
game?
early to mid-30s, and he served the team as their 6th man. Over time, he started to own the role of a defensive specialist and did a fantastic job of containing the best wings in the league, like LeBron James, for example.
2015.
Famously, he even won the 2015 Finals MVP thanks to his defensive effort.
People are talking about that series like, oh, he held LeBron to 35 points. But to be fair, LeBron averaged 35 points a game on less than 40% shooting. So I think holding people to below 40% shooting, it doesn't matter the volume. I mean, it's the efficiency that matters.
Effort on LeBron.
I think he did a pretty good job.
Eventually, he was even in the group
Curry should have won the Finals MVP. Let's not get that wrong.
of Warriors designated as the death lineup, operating as a key facilitator and defender. In total, he made 2 all-defense teams and was a part of all 4 of the Warriors'
He was technically a part of the 4th championship.
runs. So what do you guys think? Who's an underrated player from a Dynasty team?
Alright, so that's the end of that video. Yeah, who do you guys think is an underrated player from a Dynasty team? Let me think of someone who I think you didn't mention here. I was gonna say, like, probably, I gotta think here, fucking, Danny Green on the 2014 Spurs. That's my pick. He's only part of one championship, but man, bro nearly won Finals MVP in 2013. That's all I'm saying. Also, Danny Green, by the way, he legitimately was a starter on 3 championship teams with 3 different teams: the Spurs, Raptors, and Lakers. I think that's pretty nuts. Also, JaVale McGee was also a starter on 2 championship teams, 2 different teams: the Warriors and Lakers. So that's just pretty cool. But yeah, so that was a good video. Yeah, so make sure to subscribe to my original NBA channel. Go check Jerry and Arnett out. Like this video if you want specifically videos such as relating, kind of like this. And subscribe to get notifications for other videos I upload kind of like this because, I really appreciate it. Okay, bye.